Hey everyone, how are you today? Good morning, good morning. You're going to start seeing me every Sunday morning on here, and I really want to calling this the leap of faith. The leap of faith. So, as you guys know, I wear a lot of hats, and one of those hats that I wear is the founder and visionary of IAUSM. So, what can I tell you about IAUSM? It's the International Academy of Universal Self-Mastery. But one other thing that I wanted to mention to you is that I am a spiritual reverend. So I wanted to start sharing some of the things that I've learned over time about spirituality, regarding our ego, regarding what we call the law of attraction, and different things on a little chat on Sunday mornings. So you are all welcome to join this, and we want to make this an interactive conversation. So feel free to share your comments, and I will definitely get back to you on that. And we'll talk about that because this is about interaction. And if you're a member of IAUSM, if you're an actual student inside of IAUSM, you can actually be on this Zoom with me, okay? IAUSM is free to all students. So go to IAUSM.com and request your access. Okay, that's enough about that. So let's talk about what I want to share with you today. So one of those things is, and it keeps coming up lately with these different times that we're in right now. I believe, my belief is that we are in a huge quantum leap right now when it comes to evolution. So if you go back to the time of Neanderthal man, and even before that, during our progression into humans, into what we are right now, there have been some major quantum leaps during that time. And that have changed us, not only our surroundings and maybe our body, but we've also, like what you see as our body, but also we've been changing not only evolutionary change, but also involutionary change. So change within our body. So what does that mean for us right now? It means that as our DNA changes, as the changes are happening right now within us, if you want to call God or Allah, Buddha, this is very non-denominational, by the way. I don't really believe in separation. So I'm going to speak of spirituality as all of us. And the master programmer is making some changes. And when these changes happen, some chaos occurs, because before change, there is always chaos. Before order, there is always chaos. So what does that mean? And I'll give you an example right now. When you move into a new house, right? You move in with all your boxes and stuff, and you're opening your boxes and everything has to go somewhere, right? So while it's going to those places, before there's order in your house, there is chaos. Okay, so right now we're going through some chaos, as we can tell. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, not to mention a lot of stuff happening even on the planet itself, with the planet itself. So we're in a huge leap right now. And those of you who are more connected to your spirituality, I mean, you've known this for a long time, that the shift was on its way. We've been talking about it for a long time. What we haven't realized is that we've actually been in it for quite some time. And now it's like we're in the throes of it right now. So what does that mean for us? I talk to some people sometimes about evolution, and they say to me, oh yeah, evolution is going to happen. It just won't happen in our lifetime. And my answer to that is always like, why not? Like, it has to happen in someone's lifetime. Like, why not our lifetime? So if you reach out to things like the Gene Keys and people who study astrology and different people who have visions, 2030, 2027 seems to be, that time frame. Between 2024 and 2030, we're going to start to see some major changes. And that is amazing. And that is awesome. And that is something to I can't wait to see and observe what changes are going to happen. but we as humans are also going to change. And that's super incredible and something that is long, long overdue. Long, long overdue. One of the things that I hear a lot from people is, I want to be spiritual. I'm just going to say something right now. We are all spiritual. You can't not be, right? That's like saying, think about it this way. Okay, I'm going to break it down in something that everybody can understand. And it's not that I don't think that everybody's highly intelligent. I just want to break it down and make it relatable. Imagine that the higher power, the universe, all these names so I can satisfy everybody. Let's just say the source of all things. Let's call the source, that is non-gender, by the way, non-gender, and there's no judgment, is a master programmer. Okay, source is that master programmer. Okay, so that's awesome. And and the Earth and the other planets, because it's not just about us, gotta get out of our own ego. So it's not just about us. So Earth and all the other planets are the motherboard. Okay, so the motherboard of the computer. And we do like to call her Mother Earth, right? So she is the motherboard of the computer. Now, each one of us is a component on that motherboard. And inside of each component, there are 64 strands of commands, if you will, our DNA. Some call it the gene keys, human design calls it the gates, science calls it, medical calls it DNA, but they're all the same thing. So we have these DNA as well, right? So as our DNA is changing, as it is right now, there's mutations happening. And during that mutation, we get some diseases show up. Hello, COVID, SARS, flesh-eating disease, all these other diseases that have shown up over time, because we're changing. Because this evolutionary place where we're going, where we end up after this leap, this particular leap, these bodies are too primitive to take us there. So changes are happening. Believe it, don't believe it, that's entirely up to you. Okay? I'm just trying to break it down because I don't know exactly how this is going to happen, but we can see that it's happening, right? We can see that it's happening. So spiritual, we are all spiritual. We listen to people like Dr. Joe Dispenza and other, leaders in spirituality that want to talk to us in science, that want to talk to us about things. We're 99.9%, 999% energy. This avatar that you're wearing, because it's an avatar, right? We go on to Bitmoji and stuff and we make avatars. This is an avatar. Okay. This is like your favorite pair of jeans that your energy throws on in the morning. Okay. So this is an avatar. And it's as much as that Bitmoji does what you tell it to do and puts on the faces that you want it to put on. Hello, avatar. It's the same thing here. But we give too much power to this avatar. Because in this avatar, which Bitmoji doesn't have, but what this avatar has is something called an ego. All right. Which is constantly judging us, which is constantly wanting us to be better than that person or follow that person or be just like that person or has all these opinions about things, okay, and how things should be and judgments and fault finding and, name dropping and all of that stuff. That's ego. That's ego. And we're going to talk about ego a little bit more and, I would like to talk about it more next Sunday. Call it the bulimic ego, right? So we'll talk about that next Sunday. But for now, I just want to say that every single one of these components is part of the motherboard. So when you think about it like that, you can't not be part of the motherboard. There's no option but to be a part of the motherboard. Okay? And that includes every flower, every animal, every mammal, every bird, every fish, every whale. We are all part of this motherboard. And there's no option but to be part of the motherboard. You don't get to choose. You can't say, well, I don't want to be a part of the motherboard. That's not a thing. So even if you're not alive in this moment, you are still part of the grand scheme of things and you're still part of the motherboard, just not on this planet, perhaps. maybe it's just out in the universe. It's out in the whatever, wherever that part is. But we are all part of it. And you can't not be part of it. Now, what you can do is, and I'm going to say it like, maybe your component's a little rusty. Maybe there's some rust there. Maybe there's some buildup there. Okay. That's a thing, right? So that's a thing. So now it's like, how do we deal with the buildup? How do we clean up that, right? How do we clean the rust off? How do we clean the buildup off so that you can feel your connection to the motherboard, so you can sense it, however that works out for you. Okay, we all sense things differently. So how do we sense that? Well, we need to clean up our stuff a little bit. But I think we get so caught up in clearing up our past, the stuff that we've gone through, the victim mode that we go into, which is ego, by the way, because it wants us to keep living in that, right? So that we can't move forward, so we stay rusty and built up with stuff. Okay. So how do we start to clear that off? How do we start to dust ourselves off and reclaim and remember what we are? Okay. So even though, so we are part of the master program. We can't not be. It's not an option. Okay. So we can't not be. We cannot recognize it. That's an option, but we can't not be part of it. So just sort of taking a moment and letting that sort of like, just think about it for a second. Okay. I've had people that have said to me, I don't believe in energy. Okay. No judgment here. You don't believe in energy. That's not something that you're committed to. Okay. And my question immediately becomes, well, if you don't believe in energy, why? Why? What stops you from believing in energy? Because I'm curious. I'm a curious person. So what is that? And it could be, well, one of the answers I got, I remember that one day, and this answer does come quite often, is I can't see it. If I can't see it, then it can't be. If I can't reach out and touch it, then it's not that. Okay. Okay, fair. But if you touch me, you touch energy. If you touch yourself, you touch energy. If you pick up a tube of lip balm, you are touching energy. You can't see gravity. I don't know about you guys. I can't see gravity unless, you've got this supervision. I cannot see gravity. So if you can see gravity, wonderful. But there are some things in life that are truth. Truth is there's gravity. Can't see it. Perhaps it could be measured, just like energy can be, but you can't see it, but it's there. In most cases, when we don't have a lot of pollution in the air, we can't see the air either, but it's there and we know it's there. So there's some things that are truth. On a cloudy day, you can't see the sun, but that doesn't mean that it's not there behind the clouds, right? So there are things that are the truth. And what is truth? Truth is faith. In our language, somewhere along the lines, faith became religion. You had faith in a certain religion. And you took what they said as truth. I'm not going to get into all of that now because I have my own personal points of view about that. And that's my personal points of view. Faith is truth. At the end of the day, faith is truth. But faith is undeniable truth. Faith is something you just know, you reclaim, you remember. There is gravity. We know that. That is truth. We know that there's a higher creator out there. There's an energy around us. It's been proven scientifically. Science and spirit are coming very close together. They always were. They just didn't know it. So this is truth. Right? We can all create. Every one of us can create. We've created our own personal lives. It's the truth. And some pills are hard to swallow when we've created a life that we don't like, when we create a life that doesn't make us happy. It's still the truth. We still created it. It's still the truth. And it's a hard pill to swallow because we like to blame other people. But if we own it, we can change it. It's the truth. The sun is out there. It's the truth. We're part of a solar system. It's the truth. There are things that are true and they are undeniable. They are the truth. Water is wet. It's the truth. Right? And the truth is faith. We have faith that we will, whenever we pick up a glass of water, it is going to be wet. The water inside will be wet. I don't care what religion you are or denomination, it just is. So there's some things in life, well, there's many things in life that just, it's undeniable. It's the truth. We are all part of the same cloth, the same motherboard. We are all threads of the same cloth. Truth. One of the things that we have learned to do, not on purpose, it's just happened over a millennia, is we like to separate things and put them into different little containers. You know, we'll put these types of people in this container and those types of people in that container, and we'll have cultures. So we'll have class of people and castes of people and colors of people and types of people, and we're going to put them all in little containers. And we're going to stereotype them all and paint them all with the same brush. Everybody in this container is like this. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody in this container is like this. Boom, 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 boom. And people inside those containers begin to believe those things, whether they knowingly believe them or not. As we move into this new space, there's going to be no room for that anymore, because everybody in those containers is a component on the motherboard. And when we try to put those into containers, when we start to stereotype these people, when we start to do stuff like that, we become the virus. Okay? The hate is the virus. The discrimination is the virus. The segregation is the virus. We look at things like COVID as the virus, but really, we've been dealing with some pretty big viruses this whole time, and I'd love to see the vaccination for that. Right? So now the master programmer has said, okay, these components are a little bit out of control. So it's time to create a quantum leap to pull them out of this so that we can move forward. Because if we don't evolve, if we stay stuck like this, we will cease to exist. And that's what evolution is. If we don't evolve, if there's no evolution, that life will cease to exist. And that's not what we want. So it's about us allowing ourselves to open our minds, to be open to other ideas and other thoughts. You know, we like to put things in boxes. So how about if we just take the box, take down the walls and recycle it, pitch that box. And just be open to all the possibilities that are out there. So today is really that first step into being open, is that first step into being part of something bigger than ourselves. So you are spiritual. You do matter. You are loved, whether you know it or not. You are part of everything. And you can't choose that. You may choose not to see it, but you can't choose not to be a part of it. That's just not a thing. So allowing yourself to step into that, allowing yourself that concept, allowing yourself that idea, allowing yourself to take yourself out of your box. And you may not think you have a box, but be honest with yourself. You know, do I have a box? Do I have certain beliefs that I put into place that don't allow me to see other options, other opportunities, other things, because I'm stuck to this belief? And beliefs are interesting. We'll be talking about them more too. So beliefs are super interesting because a belief is really, at the end of the day, a commitment. It's a commitment that you've made to yourself. All right. So what are those commitments? Well, let's take one that many people say. Okay, I don't have enough of something. All right. So what are you really saying? I'm going to ask you to say a statement here. Right? Let's take, I don't have enough money, and let's say my name is Bob. Okay. So I, Bob, am committed to never having enough money. And if you say that statement, you're going to find that it doesn't feel very good inside to say it. But the problem is you've been saying it all along. So Bob, who always complains about not having any money, is actually saying that and making that commitment constantly, just not in a statement like that. I, Bob, am committed to never having enough money. You're making a vow, a promise to yourself to never have enough. You need to recommit, change the commitment. Right? So when we stop ourselves from being open to all the infinite possibilities out there, it's like you're saying, I, Bob, am closed to all opportunity except this one outcome that I determined I must have. It's going to happen like this. You don't open yourself to the opportunity of the different ways that it could actually happen. And it may surprise you how these things show up for you. So just being aware of the commitments that you've made to yourself. I think beliefs is a word that we've overused to the point where we think that having a belief is actually like an anchor around us, when we can actually change that belief by changing the commitment that we've made to ourselves. So during New Year's, and I'll leave you with this today. So during New Year's, you know how people make resolutions. I decided to change some of my commitments to myself. And how did I do that? I sat down on a whiteboard, and I'm just going to show you here for a second. Just going to move you over here. See that? That's all my commitments, my new commitments to myself. I've taken a bunch of my beliefs, things that have been holding me back, and I've recommitted myself to other things. I'm committed to be more daring. I am committed to taking care of this avatar. I am committed to taking responsibility for my choices. I am committed to, so the commitments have changed, right? So having new commitments to myself. I am committed to always remaining grounded, focused. I have so many things to do. I wear so many hats that I can become very easily unfocused. So do I want to say, Ayse, am committed to remaining unfocused? Just saying it feels gross. So no, I'm committed to being grounded and focused. This is a commitment that I'm making to myself. It's a promise. It's a vow. Okay. I commit myself to being calm and clearing up anything that stands in my ability, in my way to do so. Right? So when I see myself getting, I can get pretty emotional about things like everybody else, but no, I want to be calm. And when things happen that stand in my way of being calm, I want to investigate that and figure out why that's happening and how I can change it. Not wait for someone else to change it. How can I change it? What can I do? Because it's the only thing I have control over. So commitments are pretty important. So if we bring this back to what we're talking about today, which is a very simple topic of just being open to your own spirituality, because that place that you hold, that component, that space you hold on the motherboard, being committed to that and being open to it. And whatever that means, and that might change some of the commitments that you've made to yourself, because maybe at the time when you made those commitments, it was a good commitment. It had a purpose. But now, years later, time later, hours later, weeks later, years later, that commitment just doesn't hold water anymore. It doesn't work anymore. So sticking to the same commitment will leave you stuck. We've heard people say, I feel stuck. Well, there's some commitments that you're not releasing and recommitting to. So give it a thought. be open to the possibility, have your own back, be 100% committed to you. That's important. You know, it's something I say to myself every morning. I am 100% committed to myself, right? Because I need to commit myself to commit myself. I need to be committed to myself, and I need to also be open to the opportunities. And I need to have my own back, because those are the only things I can truly control. Anything else, it's like, to be quite honest, is like pissing against the wind. Like, you know, it's just not something I can control. So give it a try, see how it works for you. Write down what your old commitments were and journal what your new commitments were. If your old commitment was to not ever have enough, what am I recommitting to? I, Bob, am now committed to having financial abundance, having financial comfort, having ease and comfort in my life in any way, shape, or form that will show up for me. Right? So new commitments, open mind. Our mind stops us, our brain stops us from living our purpose. Be aware of your mind, but don't let it rule you. Be open. You know, who knows what will show up if you just are open. If you close a door and condemn it, you could be closing the door to something that you need to know, something that will help you grow, right? So for those of you who want to know a little bit more about yourself and in a space where you will be in a sacred and safe space where you will be supported, jump into IAUSM, IAUSM.com. Check it out. And it doesn't cost you anything. And we're also always looking for new IAUSM mentors. So do reach out to me if you have knowledge, and if you're heart-centered and you want to help people, contribute to society, contribute to humanity. I want to hear from you. So have a wonderful day. We will talk soon, and much love for taking this time. See you next week.